a war room. Shortly after my meeting with Briggum, my steward enters. Jaunty young man, but just older than a boy, that one. He's loyal to a fault, but also good with a sword. I made sure of it.
Your Majesty, shall I send for Commander Belmont?
I nodded. Yes, please. Bring him to the war room, now. The steward hurried off, and within moments, the sound of heavy boots echoed down the corridor. Belmont entered, his armor only half unbuckled from our morning spar, his dark gray tunic slightly damp with sweat. He looked like a man summoned from purpose, not rest, and in truth, he preferred it that way. As he stepped inside, Briggum gave a sharp grin.
Look who finally rolled out of bed.
Belmont smirked, approaching the table.
Took me long enough to find my balls after you tried to cut them off this morning, my queen.
Your footwork was lacking. Belmont gave a curt nod, then turned to Briggum.
General.
Commander.
Briggum said with a respectful incline of his head. It wasn't friendly, but it was familiar. The two had fought together, shoulder to shoulder, through the mire and blood of reclaiming this kingdom. They weren't friends. They were brothers in arms. We all stood around the round table now, equidistant from one another, like 3 points of a well-balanced blade. I spoke with a voice that was quiet but weighty. We'll need a small task force, 12 riders. Silent, experienced. We move in 3 days.
Which pass we taking? Gravel pass is too obvious. They'll be watching that one.
Belmont tapped the edge of the map.
Dead Rock Ridge. It's narrow, steep, but hidden. Not ideal for supply lines, but we're not hauling siege engines. We need eyes and blades.
Blades that don't get seen till they're already drawing blood. I'll handpick the bastards myself.
And the resistance? What are we walking into?
I look over the map, my fingertips trailing the ragged ridges. I don't know yet, but something stirs there, and it stirs deeper than petty thieves and mountain scum. The speaker confirmed as much. Briggum gave a soft whistle.
If the blind witch is whispering, I'd listen. The last time she opened her damn mouth, we found 3 warlords buried beneath their own banners.
We fall silent for a beat. The air in the room thickened. This force needs to be ready for anything. Ambushes, guerrilla resistance, even cursed ground. We leave nothing to chance. This is a reconnaissance operation. If we encounter signs of something bigger, we don't fight it. Not yet. Belmont gave me a sidelong glance.
You'll stay here?
My eyes flicked to the windows, where the light was beginning to fade. For now.
You sound like a woman planning her absence.
I have preparations to make. When the time comes, I'll appoint a regent. You'll have orders. The 2 men exchanged a look, but neither questioned me. Not yet. Briggum rolled his shoulders.
All right then, I'll get the boys ready. Make sure they're sober, silent, and mean enough to scare off their own shadows.
And I'll chart the terrain and get our rations packed. If this is what I think it is, we'll need more than steel.
As they both turn to go, my voice stops them. Be ready. Something is coming. And it's not just smoke and ghosts in the mountains. They both nodded, and then, only then, they left.
I stand near the outskirts of a gathered crowd, Finns beside me still chattering on, but I hear only fragments. My senses are elsewhere, primed.
I flirted with the merchant's daughter, and she threw a plum at my head. I think we're engaged now. Either that or cursed. Hard to say.
From a nearby alley, a scream rips through the warm air. Not a startled cry, not a domestic squabble. This is animal, wet, raw. The crowd freezes. Even the guards stiffen. One merchant drops a stack of bolts. Crimson linen spills across the cobblestones like blood.
He's still out there! Don't you hear him? He's laughing!
My hand is on the hilt of my dagger before I'm fully turned. A woman stumbles into the square, barefoot, wild-eyed, dried blood on her temple. Her dress is torn at the sleeves, and strange black marks are scrawled across her arms, like ink burned into flesh. She's shaking, muttering between shrieks.
The trees were watching me! They opened their mouths and he walked out of them! His eyes were full of teeth!
Guards rush to intercept her. One grabs her roughly by the arm.
Get her to the cleric, she's raving mad.
She shrieks and slaps him hard enough to knock his helmet loose.
You fools! You let them in! The iron mouths! Their song is in the ground! Can't you hear it?
I move closer, eyes sharp. The woman's eyes suddenly land on me.
You're the one with the sting.
Suddenly, the world narrows. The crowd vanishes, and it's only her and I.
Your blood remembers. You don't. Not yet. But when the sky splits, he'll call you by name.
She convulses once, then again. I ask quietly, "Who sent you?" But it was too late. Her body seizes, she drops to her knees, foaming at the mouth. Her veins turn black beneath her skin, like ink crawling from the inside out. Guards shout, people scream. A priest rushes forward, but she's already gone, dead. The black in her veins fades to grey. The marks on her arms flake off like ash. I stand frozen. Then, slowly, I reach up and touch the scorpion pin once more. The one with the sting. I wear it as disguise. She spoke it like a truth. The words crawled through my mind, curling into the creases of memory. She hadn't seen me before. Not really. Not enough to know anything. So how? Was she talking about me? I touched the edge of the scorpion pin absently, just once. A whisper of silver beneath my fingers. If she was, how on the continent did she know? My thoughts turned cold, precise, not in fear, but in calculation. Or worse, who else knows? My eyes flicked across the square, narrowing subtly, scanning without looking like I was scanning. Just people. Just merchants, guards, hawking voices and curious glances. But my skin prickled. Someone is watching, and I could feel it. And if they knew what I was, what I had come to do, then Virelya's game wasn't the only one being played.
The scout stood rigid, just inside the heavy oak doors, mud still clinging to his boots, sweat lining the collar of his cloak. I sat poised behind my writing desk, ink drying on freshly sealed correspondence, my gaze cutting through him like a drawn thread through silk. "Well?" I asked, voice calm, but threaded with expectation.
He and his companion, Finn, the younger one, went into the market. They visited a few shops. The antique dealer near the apothecary noted a lapel pin shaped like a scorpion and an earring, pearl drop style. A street vendor sold them sugared almonds. The apothecary sold Finn lilac oil.
I gave a single nod, my expression unreadable. Which shop? Who was the vendor? The scout produced a small folded note, precise and detailed.
Names, shop marks, and placement on the square, Your Grace.
I took it without looking. And then I asked. The scout hesitated.
There was an incident. A woman near the central fountain. She began screaming and appeared mentally unwell. Zevir and Finn were nearby. He intervened, held her until the guard came, but he didn't appear involved.
My fingers froze on the edge of the note. My eyes lifted, sharp now. What screaming woman?
She flamed odd things, ramblings about teeth and eyes, about something speaking through the ground and the trees. Said the word sting.
A long silence bloomed in the room, heavy. I rose from my seat with careful deliberation. I see, I said. Perhaps we should ask him then. The parlor was fragrant with rosewater and honey. The soft clink of porcelain, the muted hum of courtly gossip, and the sun drifting in long golden beams through leaded glass. Zevir sat in the center of the room. Of course, draped in poise and charm, his profile haloed by the afternoon light. He was smiling at something a lady across the table had said, leaning in slightly as though truly listening, though his eyes had that telltale flicker of distraction. Always watching, always 2 steps ahead. The hush fell the moment I had entered. Conversations trailed off, cups stilled. A few nobles half rose, unsure of the protocol. The queen never took tea in the parlor, but today I did. I moved without haste, every step a quiet declaration of power. When I reached him, I didn't wait for an invitation, just seated myself beside him with fluid grace, silencing the room once again. Good afternoon, I said softly, folding my hands in my lap. As you were. Murmured conversation resumed, stiff, tight with curiosity. Eyes darted. Whispers circled like leaves in wind. I turned to Zevir at last, voice calm but precise. Tell me, Calyndra, I was told you went to town to shop today. What was your purchase? Zevir turned smoothly toward me, that disarming half-smile already in place.
Your Majesty! Yes, a brief excursion to the market. I acquired a lapel pin, scorpion-shaped, sharp little thing, and an earring I suspect is too decadent for anything short of theatrics. Finn picked up lilac oil. For the tavern maid, I assume. He's developing a habit of falling for anyone who smiles at him too long.
He laughed, soft and knowing, a practiced ripple of warmth meant for public ears.
Just the usual pleasures of town life, my queen. Sweets, a bit of coin well spent. Nothing more.
I didn't smile. I sipped my tea, which was the same as everyone else's. Not my favorite blend, but I wasn't here for tea. My eyes didn't leave him, not for a breath. And the screaming woman? I asked lightly. Too lightly. You didn't bring her back with you? The hum of conversation faltered. Not silent, but quieter. Zevir's fingers stilled against the handle of his teacup.
Ah, that. A poor woman near the fountain, ranting, wild-eyed, said something about being watched. I thought it best to keep her from harming herself or someone else until the guards arrived. I assumed it would be beneath your notice.
Oh, my lord, you've been at court long enough to know. Nothing is beneath my notice. Our eyes met again, and this time I held him there. Whatever else passed between us in that silence, challenge, curiosity, warning. No one else in the parlor could name it, but they felt it. Zevir's smile didn't quite falter, but it didn't grow either. Of course I knew. How foolish of him to think I wouldn't. I didn't look away. Not when he smiled, and not when he attempted to frame the moment as insignificant. I watched him with the quiet precision of a blade sliding back into its sheath. And then I leaned in, just enough to close the space between us. My voice hushed. You've always had an eye for spectacle, Lord Caelyn. Tell me then, what did you see when she screamed? Zevir's throat tightened, but only slightly. Enough for a trained observer to notice.
A woman unraveling. Grief, madness, or perhaps a touch of the divine. It's hard to say in the moment.
He met my eyes again. I continued to hold his gaze without blinking. My lashes didn't even flicker. The room around us felt dulled. No, fell away, as something hung suspended between us, for a heartbeat too long. And there it was, a quiet zing, that spark of something I had not invited, nor recognized. But I could see we both felt it. A shift, a tug somewhere beneath the surface of ritual and protocol, court games and deception. It cracked through me like a spark through dry leaves. Zevir's breath caught, not visibly, but enough that he noticed. My fingers tightened, barely, around my cup before I set it back in its saucer with practiced grace. But my spine had straightened as if to push away some sudden weight or lean into it. I cleared my throat delicately. Well, I'm glad to know you've been such a stalwart protector of the people, even the untethered ones. That faint, mocking emphasis lingered. Zevir's smirk was quieter this time. Tired, maybe, or wary.
My queen, always at your service.
I didn't respond. I simply rose, fluid as breath, and turned without another word. Not even a glance back. But I could feel him watching me leave. The moment the door shut behind me, the murmurs in the parlor resumed. Quieter, yes, but tinged with something else now. Speculation? Curiosity? A different kind of tension. My steps echoed down the long stone corridor, heels clicking with usual precision. The air was cooler here, laced with the distant perfume of lemon balm and old stone. I walked slowly, too slowly for someone with my usual efficiency. My hands were folded in front of me, fingers gently clasped, but there was a tautness to them, a quiet grip just shy of white-knuckled. What was that? The question was ringing in my mind, unwelcome and unshakable. I had locked eyes with 1,000 men before, lords, generals, traitors, and priests. I had seen hunger in them, deceit, ambition, sometimes fear, but not this. There had been a moment, just a moment, where something else looked back at me from behind Zevir Caelyn's mask. And worse, I had felt it in myself too, something blooming in the space between tension and curiosity? No, want, but not the kind one could name aloud. I inhaled, slow and deliberate. I was rattled. I rarely was, at least not since I was 16 and holding court with blood still drying on my hem, or my coronation, when half the room expected me to fail within the year. I stopped by the tall window that overlooked the southern gardens. The glass was faintly warm from the sun, and my reflection shimmered against it, cool, perfect, untouchable. I reached up and smoothed a non-existent wrinkle in my sleeve. Behind my eyes, the moment replayed. His voice, the flicker in his gaze, the way he'd tried to recover but didn't quite succeed. He'd felt it too. I just know it. And that was dangerous. I turned from the window. Fetch me the scout, now. If I couldn't steady the tremor inside, then I will bury it under strategy. Whatever had happened in that parlor, it could not happen again.
I remained seated after the Queen left, still holding my teacup, though it had long since stopped rising to my lips. The conversations had resumed in full now, but the tone had shifted. Muted chuckles, sidelong glances, the subtle flutter of fans and gossip that always followed Virelya wherever she walked. But today, they were following me too. I didn't move, not yet. Let them wander. The air in the room felt too warm suddenly, thick with perfume and perception. I could almost hear their thoughts before they spoke them. Why him? Why today? What did she see? What did he do? A lady to my left laughed a little too loudly at a weak jest. A younger noble whispered into the ear of his lover, casting a look toward me as he did. And then, a voice across the table, older, seasoned. Lord Maltring, with his half-buttoned waistcoat and shrewd, lazy eyes that had seen too many secrets and outlived too many kings. He leaned in, resting a hand on the edge of the table, grinning like a man who thought death was always 2 decades away.
Now you've gone and done it, lad. She's got her eye on you. Best watch out.
A few laughs rose around us, brittle and curious. Maltrin continued, swirling his wine.
She either wants to fuck you or stab you. Either way, it's an invitation to something you may not want.
I finally looked up, smiled faintly. Then perhaps I'll hope she's in a merciful mood and chooses to stab me after the fucking. More laughter this time, from the kind of nobles who only admire those bold enough to walk a knife's edge. But I didn't linger in the joke. Instead, I set the cup down and stood smoothly, brushing non-existent dust from my lapel. I could still feel it, her, in my blood and my breath. I left the parlor without another word, just for a second. I walked the stone corridor with deliberate slowness, each footstep a quiet echo trailing behind me like regret. The parlor doors were far behind now, but the scent of tea and perfume still lingered in my clothes, cloying. I slipped through a servant's passage and emerged onto one of the upper terraces, open to the sky, the wind catching my cloak like a whisper. Gods, I needed air! Below, the palace garden stretched out in symmetrical beauty. All vines and trimmed roses, ordered into submission. Not unlike the court, and not unlike me. I placed both hands on the cold marble balustrade and leaned forward slightly, letting the breeze catch my hair, my breath, the heat still crawling under my skin. The mission had always been clear. Infiltrate the court, earn the Queen's favor, get close enough to strike. A whisper of death in the silk of ceremony. Nothing more, nothing personal. But I had seen her eyes today. Not the Queen's, but Virelya's. Something beneath the crown, something impossible. And worse, I had felt something in myself respond. The crack was small, but I felt it. Pressure beneath it building. Then the woman in the square. Untethered, yes, but not wrong. She'd looked at me like she knew. She'd said sting. Had someone talked? Had Virelya guessed? Had I been followed? Or, gods help me, was there something larger at play that even I didn't see? The scorpion pin glinted faintly on my chest. I ripped it off and tossed it to the stone. It landed with a soft clink, rolling once before settling. I stared at it, still, poised, sharp, just like me, and just like the mission. But now, something was off balance. The precision of it, the purpose. I straightened, jaw clenched. No, stay the course. And yet, what course is this? I turned from the edge, not ready to answer my own question.
They say the stones up here still hum at night. Old war songs, but played backward.
My cousin says there's a village up here, dead for 30 years, but smoke still rises from the chimney come winter.
Shut it. Bad luck to name what you don't want knocking.
Okay, okay. Keep your britches on. We're just making small talk to fill the dead air, mate.
And that dead air may be what kills you if you disturb it. We don't know what's out here in these cursed mountains. God's willing, they aren't. But that doesn't mean your flappy mouth should summon it.
It feels wrong already, like the trees are leaning in to listen.
Aye, they always listen. They just don't always answer. No bird song. No insects. Nothing.
Whoa! What in the fuck is that?
It looks like a cave?
The whole valley looks dead from up here. The trees are all sparse and skeletal.
There, in the mist. It's some sort of shape, not a cave.
Gods and devils alive. It's massive. What is that?
Saints below.
What is it?
It's a gate, Belmont, half buried beneath earth and time. Now, I'm no monk, but I knows evil when I sees it, and that is fucking outright evil, mate.
Something's wrong with the light. Look at the shadows. Our shadows aren't pointing in the same direction. Not a single one.
Fuck. No fire, no speaking. We ride around it at first light.
And if it rides to us before then?
Then we fucking stab whatever it is, Belmont. I'm going to check the tree line. You men, set up camp here. Quietly. No need to poke whatever the fuck it is we can't see, so it sees us.
Well then, you heard the general. Let's get the camp set up, gentlemen.
The trees here, they don't sway. Not with the wind, not with anything. We aren't alone. Everyone is accounted for. And yet, I can feel something.
Briggum! There! Just for a breath, one pine's shadow moved the wrong way. Not fast, not deliberate. Just late, like it remembered to mimic them after they've already passed.
Set a watch. Pairs only. I want no man alone tonight.
Something's in these woods.
Aye, and I bet my cock on in a whore. It's not sleeping.
You're late.
I didn't realize you'd summoned me.
Darling, I never summon. You always come. Eventually. Like moss on marble.
My mother, Calyndra, apparently surprised me for a visit. She and I have always had a fraught understanding of each other. What is it this time? My company? My strategy? Or are we back to my posture again?
No, you're so sensitive. I've no interest in your politics today. I'm only here to ensure you haven't lost your instincts with so many new distractions flitting around the court like moths to your flame. Like that new shadow of yours, Caelyn. He watches you, closely. The sort of man who smiles like a friend but listens like a spy. Perhaps it's just the scent of blood on him. Familiar, isn't it?
I don't recall asking for your thoughts on my court.
Of course not. You never ask. You assume. That's always been your greatest strength and your deepest flaw. I can be the knife in the dark just as easily as you, Virelya, and take this stone throne without lifting a finger. I've done worse. You know it.
She rises slowly, graceful and terrifying. My mother is beautiful, but just like the poisonous blooms of the jungle, she's also full of venom. She's always been that way.
You wouldn't be here sitting so tall above me if I hadn't chosen to spare you. If I hadn't restrained myself from drowning you the moment you screamed your way into this world. Let us not forget the roles I played in usurping your father, the king you idolize in myth but never knew in truth.
This is her way. Her way of speaking. Her way of making poignantly asserting where she falls in the pecking order of this kingdom. With venom and barbs disguised as words.
The throne you sit on, I paved the path with blood and bedchambers, poison and patience. And when it was your time to rise, I made damn sure no blade found your neck before the crown did. So no, Virelya, do not threaten me with treason, warrior queen. Oh, but look at you, so flushed. Your cheeks all pink, ears practically glowing. I do so love when I see you in there.
I will not be ruled by you.
No, darling, you never were. But someone always is.
Then she's gone. The doors had closed. And still, the scent of my mother remained. Not the perfume. That faded quickly. But the weight of her. Like a storm just passed. Thunder still echoing between ribs. Like poison in the veins. Long after the cut has scabbed over. I stood unmoving in the center of the room. Everything in the conservatory was pristine. The orchids bowed in perfect submission, the ivy clipped and trained. Not a leaf out of place. I hated it. I hated how precise it was, how it reminded me of her. I reached up and touched my collarbone, lightly, as if to steady my pulse. No one else in the entire damned continent could unmake me like this. I had stood before kings, gutted traitors with my own hands, stared down warlords without blinking, conquered impossible odds in battle and wit. But my mother didn't need a sword to wound. She was the wound. I let out a breath that was too sharp to be called a sigh. My hands were still trembling, and that shamed me most of all. That anyone could still get beneath my skin, twist the blade, and smile while doing it. I should be stronger than this. I am stronger than this. And yet, someone always is. The words clung to me like frost. Not because I feared them, but because, deep down, I wondered who. I crossed the conservatory slowly, trailing my fingers along the petals of a blood-red lily. When I reached the peony my mother had butchered, I stopped. The flower was ruined, its perfect white petals scattered like bones. I knelt and gathered a few of them in my palm, crushed them, and then quietly, I whispered, not for anyone to hear, not even for myself. You should have drowned me when you had the chance.